so this year. So I've had several stories that I've heard and I've seen with multiple offer situations. So that's fantastic as you take those listings, have multiple offers on certain properties. But as a whole, looking at it, what are we looking at as far as when we're at listing appointments and motivation? Are we checking motivation, and what are we finding that is a compelling factor for a lot of our sellers that may have been sitting on the sidelines for a while? What's getting them into the game at this point? What are we seeing out there?
Well, I can tell you from my standpoint, Ryan, so because the people I focus on is mom needs to move. She can't stay at home any longer by herself, or hey, mom has died and we inherited the property. That's almost been every single one of my closes for the
Mm-hmm.
last year. So, and that group never changes, right? So that they don't care. I tell everybody, there's my line. Some people work with first time home buyers. I work with last time home sellers. So that might, and they don't care what the interest rate is, and they don't care what the market is. It's time. Something has changed in life, and they need to move a property.
Yeah, so there's something more compelling than the dollar figure, the proceeds at the end of the rainbow per se for what you're looking at. There's a necessity and a requirement for shelter on any level for all of us. It's one of the five basic needs, and so that's what I love about this industry that we look at. But Tom, for you specifically, the care that's required for the type of living that's necessary at this time, it's got to happen. So as much as they want to capitalize on a great market, and they will. They'll do very good. They understand that it's time. They can't do stairs anymore, or I've got to go to the nursing home, or I've got to go to the funeral parlor, or wherever I got to go. That's the thing. So I love that. I am a last time home seller agent. I love that. Is that a tagline? Did you patent that? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm still trying it out on people. We can vote on it at the end.
You'll find your way. You'll find home. So that's good. All right. So Tom's got aging out of a home, specifically for a need for higher care. What else are we seeing that are our motivating factors? What gets people to say, yes, Shelby, I'm ready to list with you. Yes, Trisha, I'm ready to list with you. What are we seeing out there that we are jumping into? And it's like, okay, I recognize what this looks like. This is definitely somebody that has reached a level of, yes, we're going to move forward.
Mine have been our friends. Their goal has been to buy acreage. So I've been selling a lot of their homes in the city and helping them buy acreage. And then my short amount of experience, I'm finding very quickly when they call, even though they say they're going to take their time, they're already kind of at their limit with where they're living and they're moving way faster than I anticipate them to. So I'm trying to, as soon as we start looking at houses, because a lot of people are, we would rather find the first house and then put ours on the market. So I try to get pictures scheduled right away, and get into their homes and make sure that they've done everything that they should do to make the sale go very quickly. But I've had a lot of friends that have moved acreage and they love it. So that's fun.
Shelby, that's because you make it look so fun to be out in the country. Everybody wants to do that. It's all the cool kids are doing it, right? But
Cool.
people are wanting that space now, right? They want to unveil just a little bit, and it's amazing. They're willing to pay that price to do that to get out of the subdivision. Not that those aren't great. It's just not what they're wanting anymore. They got the
You
feet
know
up.
what I see when I see acreage? Ticks
Work.
and mosquitoes. Ticks and mosquitoes. That's
Get
what I see.
chickens. Get you some chickens. They'll take care of the ticks. It's not a problem, Tom. So it's
Oh,
good.
there's a lot of people that I've had multiple sellers lately that they bought a house and did just necessary upkeep and a little bit of update here and there. And their proceeds are around $200,000. And they're Jake and I's age, like early 30s, and they've got $200,000 to put towards this acreage that's 450. So it's really a $250,000 mortgage, and they're willing to make the move. So, but it's pretty cool to see kids our age making that kind of money off of a house that they bought in 2017, 2019, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
That's fantastic. Yeah. They got into the market at the right time. And
Yeah.
what's it now? We're approaching 40 years old for our first time home buyers out there is the average age. I think that's across the country. So anytime I see a buyer jumping into the market, as difficult as it is, and if any of you guys working with first time home buyers out there, competitive market, right, to get into. But the conversation we're having is you guys are going to be so thankful you did this in 5 years, and we'll continue to talk about it. But to Shelby's point, when you bought 5 or maybe 7 or 8 years ago, that market completely has exploded since then. And it's creating a huge opportunity to get out on acreage when that might not have been possible, probably wouldn't be possible if they were still in an apartment waiting to get that property out there and had this the massive expense on their mortgage at 450, 550, 650, and 450 on small acreage. We would call that probably almost entry level at this point if you're looking to buy dirt with a house on it already. So that's fantastic. All right, good, good. So we got aging and we got acreage or a need for a different property. Brandy mentioned her last two listings were families that wanted to move out of state to be closer to family. So that is a super compelling reason to want to move is to be closer to family. There's nothing better than being able to drop the kids off with a babysitter that you used to call mom or dad. So that's fantastic that's able to happen, and how you make that happen. That they're going to sell that house, aren't they, Brandy? There's zero doubt. Those people are moving. It's already been decided that it will happen. So making that choice. So all right, so that we've got those three pieces there. Anything you want to add on that, Brandy?
No. So one family is still in the house. They're waiting for it to get sold or under contract before we go find the next one. That one's just they're going over into Kansas, more like Kansas City, Kansas. But by the way, I didn't realize Kansas City, Kansas had acreage out there. We've been showing like 1 acre lots out there. So they're about 45 minutes away. The other family has already moved to Colorado. They're gone and the house is vacant. And so they are super motivated. I do love that. I think we're priced a little high on both of them, but I think, we got to put our toe in the market and see what happens. But they're definitely motivated. So yeah, it's a great motivator to get them closer to
I
family. And I
have
keep
one of,
reminding them
yeah.
that. I keep reminding them, hey, don't forget, we're trying to get you closer to your family. Don't forget, this is what you want. Don't
Put
forget.
your finger on the pain point, and it's not to exploit anybody. It's to remind them what was most important, and that was what they told you in the consultation when you asked them the great question of what was causing this situation, or the desire to move. What was most important about that move? And they told Brandy that, and so she knows that. She reminds them of that so they don't lose focus.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have one of those too, Brandy, where I have grandparents that are in their 70s that are moving from Raymore. Actually, I have a nice one coming up in Lakeshore if anybody's interested. And they're moving back to Dallas to be closer to grandkids. And the husband was stalling for a long time. And then I flat out reminded him, hey, you are not getting any younger, and your grandchildren are not getting any younger. They're getting older. So you're missing time with them while you're hesitating to move. And within 2 weeks, the wife called me and had me come over. So just to kind of remind him that. Same situation. I got a house over in a neighborhood I grew up in, and I ran into the daughter at an event that I was at. And it's like, I went and had the same conversation. The parents want to move to Florida. That's where they've always wanted to go. And they're having trouble. And she's flying up here from Dallas, multiple times a year just to take them to surgeries and stuff. And I said, and I flat out told him, I said, you either move to Florida by the end of this year, or you guys will never move to Florida at all. I flat out told them that. And
Wow.
then, so guess what? I feel like they've nudged in that right direction. So
Just take a
yeah.
sign with you next time, Tom. Just jab it in
Yep.
the yard. Call it good, man.
This kind of reminds me, Tom, about what I spoke about at team meeting the other day about we're not just selling houses. It's so much more than houses. We're agents of transition, helping people. Sometimes it's hard and scary to make the leap. They really want to get to Florida. They really want that. And so sometimes it takes somebody coming alongside of them, say, hey, don't forget, this is what you really wanted. And I can show you the path to get there. Because sometimes people get stuck in their brain, they get stuck in their mind going, I don't know how this is ever going to happen. I don't know this, that, the other. And you come in with solutions and answers, and you're going to help them realize the dream that they've always wanted, that maybe they would have never pulled the trigger had you not come along to say, hey, let me come
Yep.
alongside you and show you how we can make that happen.
Yep.
So great job,
So
Tom.
I have a question. Okay. I know we're supposed to try to make things happen. I'm having a hard time making something happen. So I have this family in Morning View. They purchased 2 years ago. And when they purchased, their roof was already 15 years old. What she didn't realize when she purchased was that her homeowner's insurance excluded her roof because the roof was already 15 years old. So they didn't know the ages of anything in their house. So we go ahead, we go in, we list the house, they do inspections, and everything is 18 years old. The water heater is 27 years old. The roof is 17 years old. So now in order for them to sell, they're going to have to they're going to have to redo the roof because somebody's going to want a new roof, but it's not covered on their insurance. So now they're going to be out $10,000, and I don't know that we could recoup that cost in Morning View. And I don't know, really, they're looking at all the little small things on the inspection report that need to be done, but people aren't looking at the small things. They're looking at the big things. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, if we go down $10,000, or even if that would create a sale, I don't know. Any advice on this?
Yeah, you're kind of in a tough spot right now, Joanna. That is difficult. So, hey, I've got this house. It's a good house, but I got a lot of expensive stuff that's aging out at this point, right?
Yeah.
So, the easy answer for me to tell you is go back in time to your consultation when you first spoke with them about putting it on the market, and talk to them about getting some of these things done prior to going to market. If they weren't, and you can't do that, right? So we can't go back in time. So we're living the real time. What we've got to do is figure out a path to be able to get that house sold. You might have to adjust the price, but even if you adjust the price down, you still have a 17-year-old roof. Is the roof good, or is it completely done?
So the roofer said there's about 5 to 7 years left on the roof, even though it's probably they're not going to be able to get insurance on it. You know, they probably won't, but it is still good and it doesn't need to be replaced. My idea, well, this was my idea, and maybe I'm wrong. Get the roof done. We got a bid for $10,000. Get the roof done, and then put the price up just $2,000 or $3,000, back up to $275, because you're giving them a brand new roof. Or maybe stay at $272. That's where we're at right now, and then give a home warranty. You know, but I don't know that they're going to recoup that roof at all. And, you know, the guy says, well, we'll just stay. And I'm like, well, that's next year, the roof's going to be older, and your AC might go out this year, and then you'll have to replace the AC. I mean, I don't see that staying is an option. They want to get to Arizona because they hate the winters. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what to advise them. They had a guy come and look at the insulation, because one of the things and I have to say the report was ridiculous. It was nitpicky on so many fronts. And one of them was like, the insulation is low. So they had an insulation guy come out, it's $2,500. I said, do not do the insulation for $2,500. That is not going to change anybody's idea about buying your house.
No.
So
yeah, I think your money's well
don't do
spent,
these
Joanna.
little things.
Don't do that. Your money is well spent. Your client's money is well spent. They've got equity in the house, or do they own it outright?
No, they do not. And they owe quite a bit on the house. So they're like not in a great position. They didn't put a lot down when they bought it 2 years ago. And they put about $15,000 into it with all new lights, all new appliances, they did fix it up. It's cute as could be, but all the mechanicals are old.
Yeah, I like your plan as far as getting the roof on. See, and Brandy mentioned it too. See if you can pay for it out of closing if you have enough capital there. And I like the warranty piece. It gives the people a little bit of peace of mind, but also remind the buyers, looking potentially you put the right shingle on that house and it's going to reduce their insurance by 20% for 5 years. That's a great feature right there and benefit. But I don't know that I would recommend raising the price. When you do that, I very little success once you're on the market to raise the price back up. You'd have to have a really, really strong, compelling reason why you could do that. A roof is difficult. They bought it at a tough time, and as far as like negotiating the price down on a 15-year-old roof, that would have been cool, but that's where they're at. That's where they landed on the price point of that house, and they were okay with it at 15 years old. They have to be okay with what has to happen at 17 years old. If they truly want to get to Arizona because it's so daggum cold here in the wintertime, again, remind them of that, right? Put your finger on the pain and see. But
so you would recommend telling them, let's get the roof put on.
Yep, I would absolutely.
Let's get the roof
put on.
and
Don't worry about the
price. And keep the price at $272, and then give them a home warranty, and that's like your best bet, really.
Yep. I think that's your best outlet at this point to be able to get it. Hopefully, you're generating traffic, and the only reason you're not getting an offer is because of the reason that it's the roof. Everything's old. Now you've addressed the warranty piece with the appliances that haven't been replaced, and you've addressed the roof piece. So now they can get insurance on the house, which opens up your target area for buyers to be able to make an offer on that house and not worry about having to go with ACV on the roof. They'd be able to get actually a decent rate on their insurance too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Joanna, if there's you said it had a lot of nitpicky things, and when I've gotten reports like that, I've tried to get my handyman guy to go out there and go, hey, I'm going to invest, $500. And here's the nitpicky things I want us to take care of that cleans up some things. So then when you are presenting with this, now you have an inspection report, you also go, here's the little things we had taken care of. Being able to add a list of things we've taken care of, plus this roof, I think that lets buyers go, hey, they saw the concerns. They were so willing. They probably really take great care of their property. It just sends a message that we want to sell a great home. And it was a investment on my part.
So, Trish, did you say that you pay for the $500 worth of small things?
I sure did. Because I'm like, I want to keep you on the market. I want to get this sale completed. I want to be the lady who served you really well. And you probably can find a contact that'll go in and do, you just list out all these little things that are loose outlets, light bulb. I mean, there's always a lot of randoms that you can take care of that you don't need a licensed professional. But yet that checklist to somebody who's in an older community and they look at it, they're like, oh, that's all the stuff I don't have to do. That just feels good to them. And I think it sends the message that our seller wants to sell you this great home. We fix these things. We put this roof on. Here's our price. This is what we're selling now. Is these things that we've done? I don't know. It's helped in the past.
That sounds great. And they have been working on all the little things, and their son-in-law has been helping them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I don't have a handyman. I mean, I have plumbers and I have painters and I have that. I don't have somebody that's a handyman that'll just go in and do all these little things for not ridiculous amounts of money. You know what I mean? If any of you have somebody like that, I would love to know, because I would definitely hire them and say, hey, there's a loose banister, there's a light bulb, there's, for things that they can't do or whatever. I would love to do that for them. That's a great idea too.
Joanna, go into our private page and post in there, and first hit the search bar and look for handyman, see what you can find. And then if you don't find what you need there, go ahead and make a new post and ask, looking to do X amount of dollars worth of work, and see if we can get somebody there that can assist that
I used to have one. I just posted on there last week, actually. My handyman that I was amazed with just took a full-time job, and with that, he's not allowed to moonlight. And my painter's leaving the state. So I'm also have posted on my Facebook and on our page. I also need a new guy. However, with that, I'm going to say that, yeah, I think my husband's company is about to create this service. So I might be able to connect you really soon.
That's awesome.
And I just saw Tim Crable just put a note on there with a great handyman. So I'll probably try him too. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, Ward was incredible. It's crazy. I actually found him on Facebook Marketplace because I was looking for somebody that does dryer vent cleanings. And so I just called him and had a great conversation with him. And he's kind of like, he's getting close to like retirement age. But he's got a daughter in college, and so he's a family man and just like very conscientious, super clean. I sent him over to a client's house in Hallbrook, and I was like, "Hey, this is like white glove," and she actually called and said that she was impressed with his cleanliness. Like he was really tidy. So, anyway, can't say enough about Ward. He impressed me. So that takes a lot in the handyman world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, I want to switch gears a little bit and head into Paul's part of the world. I like to pull Paul in on this deal because he does a lot with AI and has been working on it. He's been in it for probably 4 or 5 years before I could even spell AI. And so I think that's the important piece of where we're going. And we've talked about it. And I heard a quote in the last week. It's like, if you don't use AI, or not interested or not going to go that direction, you're like the guy back in the 80s that when we were faxing things said, yeah, I'm not going to do the email thing. I don't really want to do, I don't believe in the email. I'm going to stay right here with the fax machine. So that's kind of what you're saying. And so that's got me kind of thinking, okay, am I getting old? Okay, we've got to adapt. And so I think the question here is, what are we doing? It could be for marketing, listing presentations, buyer consults. What are we doing with AI, and how are we finding some effectiveness in it? And are we using it? And if it's okay if you're not using it. I've just started dabbling, asking it questions and having it give me some thought patterns, which help me get into something else that allows me to get into a topic that I really want to. So asking it great questions is the biggest thing. But I want to ask Paul that, like, what have you implemented that's worked really well for you guys? You guys have been on fire, and congrats on last month too. Excellent job.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm really guilty of a lot of being one of those people that likes to learn a lot of stuff and not implement a lot of stuff. Anybody else guilty? I see the ADHD crews raising their hands. So, so which is at least half of us, whether we're diagnosed or not. Which I didn't take my meds yet. So, but part of my point is, though, we've been exposed to it a lot in the last 4 years, 3.5 years, through our coaching organization, and our previous coach for 3 years is now like the AI guy for KW. So we've been around a lot of it. And if we had implemented a quarter of what we learned, we'd probably be making really, really good money right now. So, not that I'm complaining, I'm not broke, but it's amazing what's out there and how much leverage it can give us. In our business, there's a lot of, I don't know how to put a Facebook ad out. I don't know what to say in a Facebook post. I don't know what to say in an email. And I don't know, blah, whatever. Most of those things, those answers you can get by talking to AI and the free versions of AI. So a lot of those excuses that have held us back are bogus at this point, to go back to Bill and Ted days here. So I know most of you have played with it a little bit, even someone like Darren's age. I don't know what he just said. And it was at 8 a.m. every morning. It cannot access. Yes, he's right. So if you see what he's saying, it can't access things like the MLS where you have to log in. So it does get kind of generic data when you're asking it to do stuff. But if you get like, we can get like Cass County or whatever area from our MLS, we can get stats for the previous month, about in the middle of the month. And if you put that in there and say, make a nice, engaging Facebook post with this information, and you can say focus on attracting sellers or whatever you want it to be, and you can say things like dumb it down to like an 8th grade level, because not everybody in our circle has a master's degree. And there's so much you can do to really fine tune it to attract the right people, or any people if you're desperate. So I didn't really answer a question, I don't think, but there's a lot that it can be used for sure.
Hey, Ryan, I've started using Chat GPT for almost all my emails that I send to my clients, and especially when I'm doing updates, or maybe it's just we have to work through a tough matter, and it's been doing an amazing job for me. I got a one now where I have an inherited home that's 4 siblings, all married. So I have 8 different sellers that I have to communicate with, right? So, and I can just talk to my AI just like I'm talking to you guys, and I can mumble and I can stumble, but I can tell it what it needs, and it kicks me out like, this is what we're doing, this and that. Now, the problem is I can no longer send a normal email, because then I sound like a guy who graduated in the middle of his class from Ruskin High School, right? So I have to always kind of like use it. Once I use it one time, I got to use it every time, because then it doesn't really sound like me anymore. Paul, I downloaded my MLS and tax sheets in there, and ChatGPT can read it for me and kind of tell me. And that's usually when I go for my listing descriptions, I'll just download those 2 sheets in there, and it can tell me that. So I think for an old guy, I'm using it more and more. I used it just this morning before I got on a call. I have a client who wants me to sell a lot. It's what's called a flag lot, and I won't get into what that means. But in the pole part of the flag, we have a flood zone to get over, and so ChatGPT and I had a long conversation about FEMA and what I would need to do to kind of get through that process. And the other thing is, I had somebody pitch a business idea to me the other day, putting in what is called an adult residential living facility, is like having a skilled nursing facility, but it's in a residential home instead of a nursing home building. And then I went home and put in some information to Chat GPT about it, and it actually told me that, Tom, this sounds like everything that you've told me that you don't want to be right now. And it's like, because I complain to Chat GPT all the time about, hey, I want to be busy, but not too busy, right? It's like that kind of a thing, right? I'm 64 years old. If I can make a couple $100,000 a year, I'm good, right? And so Chat GPT actually talked me out of an investment idea, because it had learned from me what I have shared with it that I want from my life.
So. Fantastic. I think what I'm hearing is, if we're going to be using AI, if you're using Gemini or if you're ChatGPT, whatever you're using, get good at asking great questions. And kind of what I mean by that is, you'll ask a broad question, and then as you ask that question, I don't know if it works like you got for you guys, but then you're like, and then add this in, but I want you to take in consideration this feature, and then also this, and like, you can really, really dial it in and hone your question as you're asking it, and it can give you an interesting and very professional answer for what you're wanting it to do. And so it's kind of it's a cool feature. And I think the biggest part is, and I was talking about this morning after I got done working out with some of the guys. I'm like, AI and consideration, and like, is it going to replace jobs? And one of the guys is like, yeah, it absolutely is going to replace jobs. I'm already training, so I'm the guy in charge of that, so I won't lose my job. And so that got me to thinking, like, okay, are we at risk losing our jobs due to AI? And I think it goes back to what we saw about 5-6 years ago, when Zillow decided they were going to sell homes, but they weren't going to sell homes, and then they lost 400 million. And they basically, you didn't need an agent to get in the house. You could just pull up, scan it, send them your information. They give you a code, and you can go in and like, oh my gosh, realtors aren't going to be needed anymore. Well, we absolutely are. That wasn't very effective or very efficient for them. And you can see because they did fall out of that category. Now, does that mean there's not another disruptor right now trying to figure that out? There's too much money in the real estate industry for that not to be happening. So I think what we're looking at is we've got to start to adapt to and understand AI at a level. And if you're an individual agent, awesome, keep working on that. If you have staff or a team, does that mean you're replacing your team with AI? Absolutely not. You're going to make them more efficient, them more proficient, to be able to handle tasks at a higher and a faster speed so that you can get things done in the order that you need to, and you make yourself more effective as well. So I think that's the direction I'm looking at with AI. So I think it's more of we're going to take on Paul's drive and get into it and learn it, and then we're going to take on who do I got it? And then we're going to take Trish's execution and then execute it. So those two, we're going to take a little bit of the best of both of them and just do it. And if we can do that, I think AI is going to assist us. It's never going to do all the work. It's never going to be perfect. However, it's a system, I believe, that's going to make a huge difference in our abilities. Just like email and the internets, when it came on, like, oh my gosh, we're going to sell 1,000 more houses a year. No, we're not. It was sold the same. We sell the same now as an individual did back in the 80s. And so it's just another way that we're going to be able to do it. But there'll be competition along the way. The decision you have to make is, do you want to stay in competition or do you want to fall behind the competition? And that's the decision I'm looking at right now too. I'm like, okay, we've got to do some different stuff. So,
hey, I was just going to say, there's a lot of things you can use it for behind the scenes too. There's the marketing stuff, which can be pretty amazing, but even little things like if you do a screenshot of like your Facebook page, your Instagram, do a screenshot of that, put it in there and say, hey, help me optimize this so I can attract people or so it's more visible. We've done this last week. I had, I think it was Gemini, create basically a survey for both the kids and I, because believe it or not, we aren't all on the same page sometimes, and a lot of times, and figuring out our roles and how we interact within the business and different things is kind of tricky. So I gave it guidance and I said, lean on the Gary Keller style of MREA, look at Tom Ferry, look at the one thing, and give us questions to guide us on, figuring out what we need to do. So we each answered the same questions. And then I said, all right, now, because just asking, I did it initially because Josh is always a little slower to get things done. And I said, okay, analyze these two and then give me something very specific we can talk to our coach about. So we make the most of our half an hour coaching call. And it was, and I sent that to the coach and said, and because it said, this is what we need from our coach. And it's just kind of there's so much you can do with it. And even it can kind of be your coach too. And a warning, ChatGPT will always tell you every idea you have is a great idea. So, and it'll be like your mom. She's never going to tell you you're doing something stupid. Well, she might, but, just, you can change personalities on ChatGPT and make it be a little less optimistic if you need to. But we've done some good things with it. And a lot of it is might be just silly things, but some of it is pretty neat too.
Well, and I last year at the business clinic we did, Brandy, I'd probably say Caesar, provided us with some stuff on how to train our AI, our Chat GPT, and I actually did go through that and kind of basically, just told it about me, right? From I just rambled on and on and on, and now it's incredibly so, which makes me now, because I've been seeing people recommend Gemini. It's like, well, wait a minute, now I am paying for Chat GPT. I do not the free version, but it already knows me. Now I'm going to switch over to this one. It doesn't know me, and now I just have to be vulnerable to somebody else, and I don't know that I can do that, right? I already have my AI relationship, and I think I'm good with it.
You can have your friend relationship with AI, and then you get into your business relationship with AI.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And
yeah,
the different the different platforms do different things. And so it's kind of good to know what the different AI platforms, I don't even know if that's the right word. I think it's called large language model, but whatever. Chat GPT is a little different than Gemini. It's a little different than Claude and all the other things. So if Chat GPT is working for you, keep using it. But there may come a time that one of these other things are what you need. Like Gemini, ChatGPT couldn't virtually stage my pictures, but Gemini could. So
Yeah, ChatGPT used to be pretty good at providing me at least something that I could post. I could give it an idea. And now when it comes to images, I feel like it's lagging way behind. So
that's a great point there, Brandy. We've got a parcel we're going to put in on Shipman here in the next week. We're working on the marketing now, so we're going to pull Gemini in to be able to basically stage or develop that land of what it could look like, that 11 acres in Lee Summit, and we're going to utilize that for our marketing, and then we'll be blasting that out obviously across the country for developers to take a look at and see if that's something that they're entertaining. But we'll be able to utilize that structure to do it. So Gemini is very powerful.
I've got kind of a brain dump or journal kind of folder on my Chat GPT, which is kind of nice because I sometimes have so many ideas and just thoughts in my head that I need to get out so they don't bog down my ROM when I'm trying to think about other stuff. So, or focus on other things. So, and it's also designed my workout plans and my diet, and I edit that all the time, and it connects with my workout app. There's a lot of kind of fun things like that too. So.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of features. There's a lot of things that we can do with AI. I think it's just like anything else. The first time we got on Facebook and or Insta Chat or whatever it was, you got to mess around with a little bit and learn the program, and it just be okay looking like a fool for just a little bit or looking silly. And that's all right. So if you see something that I do that looks funny, that's probably just me doing that. But again, just try it out. And we're working because I think the marketing piece is going to be huge in how you're going to be able to interact with the public and what's going to be seen and what's not going to be seen. So I think that's the thing. And another thing that we've looked at, Paul, and I don't know, I haven't seen a ton of your marketing, but we're not doing all real estate stuff anymore either. We're doing some other stuff Caitlin, she got me doing this dumb stuff, but it actually gets more attention not doing real estate stuff than just doing all real estate. Because I don't think our clients or our sphere wants to see you talking about real estate 100% of the time, right? They want to see other things. And so I shot this silly video on TikTok last week when I went to the dealership, or that was Monday. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, and again, it was way better than anything else. Me talking about, numbers, which are important, but not everybody wants to hear that. So I think finding those different avenues to connect with your sphere or your followers is important. All right. We've exhausted AI. We've conquered it. All right. That's your mission. Get into Claude, mess around with it, work with ChatGPT, start asking it questions, hone your questions. So that you can get better answers, ideas. And then the last part, the most important part, execute on those, do the thing. So just schedule time in your calendar. I'm going to spend 1 hour messing with this on a Wednesday afternoon or whatever it is. So work on that piece and schedule an appointment for yourself to do that. So,
hey, it's also important not to trust everything it tells you. I had it writing something from the other day, and it indicated that Belton and Raymore share a school district. We don't. So I had to correct it. And it's like, oh, good catch. Thanks for correcting that. And then it got it right. But sometimes its first output isn't quite accurate. So don't just trust it. And then if you copy and paste something, make sure you get rid of the little thing where it says put link here or something like that. I've seen someone in the office just recently share something that they didn't clean out that spot where you're supposed to put your link. So.
Oh, that's true. Belton and Raymore sharing a school district. Well, okay, but there's Belton addresses with Ray-Pec schools. And so it sees it as that. It's not true. However, right. It's picking up the data that says, actually, there's Ray-Pec kids that live in Belton. They share a school district. It's inferring that. So it's not smart enough to tell the difference yet. And that's another reason why we are so important in what we do. Little things like that They're not
That's
going to.
exactly what I was referring to. And when it wrote the script for me, after it corrected it, it said it's important to be sure you check with a local agent because the address doesn't necessarily reflect the school district. So that's exactly what it came back with. So yeah, and I hope you guys know that, right? There's parts of town like off Mullen Road that are in Belton addresses but are in Rapex schools. So it's something, if you don't know, check with Ryan. He's aware of it, obviously, and so am I.
If you don't know, now you know. All right, cool. All right, let's jump in. We've got about 15 minutes left, and I want to troubleshoot a couple of things if we have anything that's come up in the last week that we want to discuss. Any questions, any problems, challenges we can work through.
I got a couple things that I've been dealing with, and one currently, and then one recently. Uh, Varmints, pests in attics. So I had a situation. I had a house for sale, and we had a raccoon thing. So the sellers got rid of had somebody come out, and it's quite expensive, by the way. It's not cheap. And then they come out and they get rid of the raccoons, and then they, in this case, and then they sealed it up so they can't get back in there. My current one is I have a listing coming up in Apple Valley, and when I was there, she said, "Hey, I think I have a squirrel in the attic." And I've called somebody, and it's like at that point, um, and it's like, okay, because I'm not going to stop her from doing that. But then they came out and it was like $2,500, and it ended up being bats, right? So they got the bats out of the attic. And then they turned around and gave her a quote of $5,000 to remediate the insulation in the attic because of droppings. Okay. So I'm just going to tell you my opinion in a safe place group is there's nobody that's never had a varmint in their attic, right? You've had a squirrel, you've had a bird, you've had a raccoon, you've had a bat, you've had something, right? So what is the proper way to advise? And here's how I advise my client. I just said, why don't we hold off on doing the installation? Whoever buys your home will do an inspection. We are going to disclose that we had bats in the attic and that we had somebody come out and get rid of them. And we'll even provide an invoice that we did so. But at that time, we'll leave it in their court if they want to bring up any insulation, any issues with the insulation or talk about remediation. But right now, I don't want you to do anything. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah. No.
I agree with you. I mean, it's not going to change the price until, I mean, they may ask for it during the inspections, but that's not going to deter anybody from making an offer. It's not like they're going to go up there and sniff the insulation.
Hey, Tom, I had that
Yes.
in a house in my neighborhood, and they did have bats, same situation. They thought it was a squirrel. They got a guy out there. He said, no, you got bats in the attic. They recommended, the remediation and all that. And my kid said, no, we're going to disclose that we did, that we took care of it exactly like you just recommended. And that house sold in 2 weeks. Nobody seemed to have an issue with it. So I'm not telling you what to do, but we had the exact same situation.
Well, like I said, we disclosed that we had the bats. We disclosed that we had somebody get the bats out. I said let's be careful about using words like remediation, though.
Yeah.
Yes, we remediated the bats, but we did not remediate the insulation. And so I wouldn't want anybody to get confused on that.
Yeah, you don't want to mislead anybody.
Yeah.
But we did exactly what you are suggesting, and we had no issues with it.
Excellent.
Yep. If you haven't had pests in a house or in a roof yet, or in a crawl space, you will. It will happen to you eventually. And we've dealt with raccoons here. We dealt with roof rats in Florida. Roof rats are exciting because you got them out, and they go from house to house, and they find their way in. And once they get in, you can hear them running around up there at night. And so it's a fun and expensive thing, but you've got to get them out of there. Just like any pest, if you want to sell the house. But I think disclosing what you've done and an invoice, I believe, is very accurate for somebody. And if they want to get up there and snoop around through their inspections and they want to decide they want to negotiate the next piece of that, then that's what the buyer and the seller will figure out. But you did a good job. At least make sure the pests are out of the house first before you put it on the market. Do not Do not put a house on the market that has pests in it. That's going to be detrimental at a high level.
Yep.
Good job, Tom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, believe me, on one of my flip houses, no kidding, they came to do the inspection, and the lady calls me and says, "There's birds inside the house." And it was like, no way, no way. And I got over there, and actually in between the time that I had finished the house, put it on the market, and not been over there a few days, birds had got inside that house, right? Blew that deal up because the inspector used the word infestation.
Wow.
God bless him. God bless him.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. All right, we got about 10 minutes now. What do we got? What else do we got?
Yeah, I've got, and it's kind of related, but I had a listing in Independence, been on the market for a while, vacant. It was a flip, and they went to do inspections yesterday. The buyers did 64 days, finally got under market or under contract, and somebody had broken into the house, busted a window in, and stole some of the copper out of it. I was just curious, and it's vacant. I was in a week ago, so it's been within the last week. Have you guys had break-ins and stuff? How do you handle it, and how often are you guys checking on vacant listings? Because evidently my client hasn't been going over there very much, but I'm trying to figure out how to avoid this in the future. Obviously, not selling houses in Independence will help, but
Yeah, Josh, I had this when I very first got in the business, and I had a vacant property, little house, cute little house, but it was in North Kansas City, not in the best area of town. And they stole the air conditioner out of the backyard. So I'm sure, I don't know, we don't see much of it in this area, but there are, those air conditioner cages where you can put locks on them and all that kind of stuff. And I was up there probably once a week, and my client was up there, pretty regularly as well. But you can't keep people out if they want to steal stuff. That's going to happen.
yeah.
And my guy, he just got it replaced, but I was like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And I got a call from the police department is how I had actually found out about it.
Well, yeah, and that's
Our new
fortunately the
vendor.
buyers don't want to back out, but that was my biggest concern when he called and said it looks like somebody has broken in.
Yeah.
But they cut the refrigerant lines. That's the only copper in the house besides
Yeah.
stripping wires. So yeah, that's all they took. Busted a
Oh,
window,
my.
took $2 in copper, and yeah, so
Those guys
okay.
they're not even concerned about the environmental when they cut those
Exactly.
lines.
Oh.
Release freon into the air, right? So
Wow.
yeah, that's too bad. It is the seller's responsibility to make sure they secure and protect their own property. It's not your responsibility. However, you can give them advice and guidelines for it. Security cameras are always nice to have on a house, even if it is empty. I know it's an expense, but it's one of those where you could at least see what's going on with the property. You would know about it a lot sooner. You can't stop people from breaking into houses. They're going to do what they're going to do. Getting timers on lights, that helps.
Mowing the yard helps.
Yeah, keep things tidy around there. An empty house is definitely one that's very vulnerable to being broken into. And then drawing the shades in the house too, to where people can't peek in through the windows possible. If they can't see, they don't know what's behind those shades, and they might not decide. They might want to decide they don't want to go in that house because they don't know what's in there if the lights are coming on at different times of the evening hours. So
on a related note, I saw something in a video yesterday as this agent out of California with her YouTube videos, and she was talking about 10 things to do to keep a seller from getting sued. And one of them was, especially if you know the buyer may not be taking possession right away, do a video tour as you're walking out the last time and show the front door locked and make sure it's got a timestamp on it. And that way, when they, like this particular situation, the buyers were going on a cruise for a few weeks right after they closed on the house. So they weren't there when they came back. The squatters had been in the house, and dogs and whatever in the house was trashed. And this agent had a video showing, hey, we was good on whatever date, and sorry, you're out of luck. So I never thought of that, but it seemed like a pretty good 5-minute use of time. So
I learned a good tool before you show an empty house is maybe to scream a little bit, because I showed one, and when we got to the basement, there was a squatter that had broken in the window and was in the
Oh,
bathroom.
wow. Wow.
So it was a real interesting moment for all of us. So maybe a little scream out as you're letting them know if they're in there
Yeah, a gun helps too.
before you go into the bathroom with them.
Hey, it happens. You always want to announce yourself. Where we live, everybody's got guns.
Yeah.
Stephanie was showing houses. It's been a few years ago, but she came. There was a guy in the shower. I guess he forgot that he had an appointment, so that was an interesting showing there, with the guy in the shower. But anyway, again, announce yourself when you come in a house, whether it's vacant or not. It's always good, but also be very vigilant as you're moving through a home. And I know you guys don't all know how to clear a house, and that's okay. You don't have to, but be very mindful as you enter into rooms and open closets and things like that. Expect there to be something there when there's not probably going to be, but expect that so you're not ever caught off guard, and be ready to defend yourself if needed.
Hey, Ryan, can I give a shout out? Or not a shout, just a shout. I mentioned the other day about maybe a group of us doing some YouTube content, or at least working together to try to do that. And I had Jake, Lisa, and Nanette all mentioned they were interested. And if anyone else is interested in doing that, ideally, I'd like us to get together a couple of times a month, share some ideas, share some resources. Maybe get Ryan Couvert involved to help us if anybody has questions about camera settings or things like that. And I'm talking using the phones. I'm not talking complicated setups. If anyone's interested, reach out to me or comment. Send me a message, text, or something. And I really want to get that going this month. So that's
fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. We got just a few minutes left. I want to value our time. Brandy, I want to throw it to you for just a second. Is there anything you want to update us on Market Center or events that are coming up that we need to be paying special attention to?
Sure. We do have focus group today at 11:30. That's on Zoom. If you want to lead in with some friends, that's what we do every Monday and Thursday. We've got a wealth building class. I saw it's not wealth building like the group that we have, but we're going to be focusing on retirement and getting your retirement foundation built, or checking the foundation of your retirement plan. That's next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Also next Wednesday, come out to the driving range out in Peculiar and hit some golf balls, bring your family, bring your spouse, come eat some pizza and hang out. It's a great, fun social time. That's next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Fantastic. If you don't have golf clubs, don't worry about it. There's plenty of us out there that will have them. So feel free to come out there. And if you don't know how to swing a club, you can be like Alex Bearden. That kid could flip a golf ball up on his foot and kick it out there on the range. So pretty impressive. So again, just come out, have a beverage, have a piece of pizza. It's a good time. Is that still sponsored by Carpet for Less? Are they still doing? They've been that.
It is. Yep.
It's awesome that they do that. Tom was involved with that, and now he turned to the dark side. He's one of us. So we got JD will be out there. I'm guessing will be that. So get to know him. Great vendors. And then also back to defending yourself. Jake mentioned on here that Kofelt has some pepper spray. If anybody wants some pepper spray and doesn't have it, check in with those guys and see if they can hook you up as well. But always protect yourself and be ready. Brandy says we do need an RSVP. So shoot her a quick message and let her know so we can get a count so they know how much pizza and beer to get. Should be good. Oh, it's on Facebook. Sorry, on Facebook. Yeah. Sorry.
RSVP on Facebook, please. There is a post already out. I'll pin it to the top so you can see it. If you're looking for pinned post on Facebook and you're on your phone, you have to go to the featured. Anyway, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. Just RSVP on Facebook.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Something to work on. All right, ask ChatGPT or whatever AI source you're working. Ask great questions. Hone your questions, and then implement the plan. And then get into your referral resources, get into your database. If you don't have time to call, I know we're in the heart of Q2. Things are probably starting to shake, right? Things are feeling like they're going to break. Keep reaching out to your database. Shoot them a quick message. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you saw something cool that reminded you of them. Ask them if they need something. Ask them how their house is, or anything. Just keep engaging them, even if it's only 5 people in a day. Shoot them a quick message. I've been doing that. I'm terrible at making all my phone calls. I know no one else is. I'm terrible about making all my phone calls to my database, but I'm continuing to keep reaching out and touching them to make sure they need something. It's amazing what you get back from that. So keep going on that. So you're Q3, and we finished strong this year in Q4 and hit our goals. That's how we're going to hit our goals, is when we're busy now and we're still lead generating, and we'll have business as we get into the fall. That's going to make the difference. So keep your head up. I know the days are really long now with being light till 9, and everybody wants to see houses until then. So hang in there. Get your rest when you can, and keep reaching out, guys. I appreciate your time today. Let's get out of here and go sell something. We'll see ya.
Thanks, Ryan.